Welcome back to the Ready for More podcast. And remember, guys, strength is for everybody. I'm your host, Idi.
And I'm Mark.
All right. So, Mark, what's going on?
What's going on? Well, we're trying to squeeze in this little podcast while one of my little guys is down for a nap. So hopefully we make it through without any interruptions. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, and that's why we do this podcast, just to show everybody that it doesn't matter how little time you have, there's always time to do what you think or you deem important. And I
Where
think
there's a will, there's a
we
way.
where there's a will, there's a way. And we just think the podcast episodes we've been putting together, I hope they're very instructive and will at least touch somebody because we've seen the problems we're going to be talking about. We've seen it often. I
Yeah,
just
and you
think it
know,
is important that, yeah, go ahead.
and and what's more, guys, if this has helped you out in any kind of way, let us know. If there are any ways you feel like you need support or there are any topics that you want us to touch on, we'd be happy to share our experience with you. So don't shy away from it. Drop us a comment or reach out. We'll touch on any topic.
Yeah, we'll let you know. And if we don't know, we'll just tell you we don't know. We'll do some research and we'll definitely get back to you guys. All right, Mark. So let's get to the first problem. People judge the success of their session by the intensity. So how much they sweat, if they can't walk the next day. So they'll treat exhaustion like a badge of honor. You see that all the time. I mean, I was guilty of that before, especially when I was younger.
Mm.
You have a good leg session, and if you cannot sit on the toilet next morning, it's like, yeah, man, like, I just couldn't sit on the toilet. Like, yeah. When you're younger, you could recover from that pretty easily, but when you get older, that really taxes your body.
Yeah, I think everybody's been guilty of this at some point. I have as well. And I think the reason for it, there's two reasons. One, when you don't know better, you don't do better, right? So if you have a good understanding of training and adaptations and how they happen, you know this is not the way to go. You know that your body is, if you put your body under stress up to a certain point, it will start adapting. Pushing all the way as some kind of feedback on stress is not a good sign of quality work, and it could even do damage down the road. The other reason people do this is that it feels productive, it feels gratifying. I worked this hard, I did this amount, and therefore I can feel good about myself. There's an equivalency of high output and gratification. I worked
I mean,
very hard, I killed myself, I busted my hump, therefore I can feel good about what I've done.
and it just makes sense. I mean, everybody would love to be rewarded, in lack of a better term, be rewarded for their actions. So they want to see something tangible. So they want to see that sweat. They want to feel a lot of sometimes, especially new clients, they want to feel something after. Some of them is like, I don't want to feel too sore, but I want to feel like something. So at least I am earning my session, I'm earning the amount of money I'm paying you or something like that. So it just makes sense that you should sort of measure it. But when it gets to the extreme, that is where we have to kind of rethink how we look at things. Now the way I want you to think about it now is want to shift your metric. So we want to stop measuring effort and start measuring sustainability, especially if you're a newbie or you've been out of the game for a while. So you'd want to ask yourself, could I do this exact same workout, maybe not the day after, the 2 days after? You can, if the answer is no, you went a little too hard and then now you want to make a little adjustment. So the next time you could actually get that same workout in. So that's how I want you to look at it. The second thing we see is they see an online program that says supposedly research based, and they immediately think that if that workout, that is for me. That might be true. But it might not work for you. What do you think about it? I'm sure you see that all the time. You see, okay, well, science based, yes, that could be true. But then they come to you and they're like, okay, well, I saw this workout or I tried this workout, but for whatever reason, it didn't work for me.
What do I think about that? I have a lot of thoughts about that, but I'll give you something condensed. I do not believe that there is a one size fits all prescription for a workout routine. I think there are things that we know that work, but not every program is right for everyone because different bodies move differently and have different histories. There are different injuries, there are different sensitivities to certain things. These are all things that you need to take into consideration when writing a program for someone. So while there is something generic that is available and you can shoot for it, I'd put it this way. If you work with a good coach that is good at programming, training, they'll give you a sniper shot at your goals. If you do one of these programs, it's basically a shotgun blast and you're hoping to hit something. It's a wide spray and you're hoping to hit something, but it may not. It may not work for you for some reason. You might have mobility limitations. You might not meet the entry level of strength needed to do some of the lifts on the program. You might have conditioning limitations that'll prevent you from doing the protocol that they want you to get on for your cardio, fat loss. Yeah.
Yeah, and you might not be built for this specific workout. I mean, because that's not what your brain chemistry is you work out, and we're going to get into the neurotyping a little later on. But some people just like lifting heavy. Some people like variety. Some people like feeling the pump. Some people like structure. So that scientifically based workout you saw online, yes, it is good for these people they tested, but not necessarily for you.
Well, to build on that, if you put me on a bodybuilding program, which anybody can tell I'm not a bodybuilder, but if you put me on one, I'll be absolutely miserable. It will make me very unhappy and I'll probably burn out of that quickly. However, if you put me on a powerlifting program, I'll be ecstatic. I have low reps. I have very, very high weight, long recovery periods. That makes sense for me. And I feel like it's up to the coach to figure out what the goals are and the best way to get there. What kind of workout will best suit the person? I'm constantly checking in with my people. Hey, how do you feel about this exercise? Hey, how do you feel about that exercise? Because I know the route that I'm planning for them, but if they're miserable doing the exercise, I'm going to see if I can get a similar movement pattern a different way.
Yeah, I mean, and there's certain exercises clients, I mean, they just hate it. Despite what workout it is, CrossFit, powerlifting, bodybuilding, what have you. So for you, your brain chemistry is lift heavy. There's some people I know variety. After 2 weeks, they need to be doing something different. Some people, they just want to feel that sweat pouring down their face. The exercise wise, I mean, and if you're working with a client long enough, you know what exercises they hate. That doesn't mean you don't do it with them, or you kind of trick them into doing maybe an alternative of that. Or a lot of times people don't like certain exercises because they're not good at it. And when they get good at it, that is when it's like, I actually like it. So it all depends. They might genuinely not like it because they are not good at it, or they just don't like it, which is fine. You just find an alternative. It is not the end of the world.
Keeping things fun for people is a big part of it as well. So if there's an exercise that they do not like, that they shy away from, or it just irks them, you try to minimize the dosage to keep the work mentally engaging for them. We're going to talk about this a little bit later this month, but so not to get ahead of ourselves, but I think a big part of it is keeping things mentally stimulating for people as well. One thing I started doing, and this is a quick aside, Idi, I started incorporating games into some of my workouts with people, specifically my senior people. And you're going to find out about this because you're going to do stick mobility soon, but there's certain games that you can play with the stick, push, pull, or don't let me touch you with the stick. These are things that keep people mentally engaged, and it's kind of fun. That's one example of it. But I think if you keep the sessions, or if you keep your workouts refreshing, mentally engaging for yourself as well, that's another way to great way to stick with training.
Absolutely, because I mean, there's so many exercises you could invent, you could do, and people get bored. That is human life. So yeah, you gamifying it, if you will. Yeah, that'll have you coming back for more. So let me just give you a little freeze. A workout can be good and still not good for you. That is the whole takeaway from point number 2. Third problem is the all or nothing mindset. If you feel like you can't do 100% and you can't have a perfect 10 out of 10, which is not a thing, you skip the gym entirely. We've seen that all the time.
Yeah, I think this is a pitfall that people fall into because it's tied into the first thing where people think, I'm going to give it my all, I'm going to do it, I'm going to max effort, and I'm going to gain more ground. And so if we're just looking at simple math here, you talked about a 10 out of 10 effort. If you do a 10 out of 10 effort one day and you fry yourself, the next day you come back to the gym, you do a 5 out of 10 effort because your CNS took a hit. And then by the end of the week, you're doing a 3 out of 10 effort because you're dragging your butt into the gym and everything is tedious. Well, let's do the math. 10, 5, and 3. That's 18, right? Let's say you go into the week at a 7 out of 10. 7. You can repeat that on Wednesday, your next day, 14. Then on your third day, you're able to repeat that effort. You have 21. Your 21 effort outmaths your 18. So if it's about absolute output, the ability you can sustain over time is going to eclipse the maximum output that you cannot sustain.
Absolutely. So if you can't come back to it, it doesn't compound. So you want to treat fitness like compound interest. I mean, you get most people, some do, they don't get rich by like this huge deposit. It's usually you start early and then you just put something aside. You put something aside. You put something aside. So it's not that massive deposit. So I want you to think of your training like that, like small deposit, as opposed to you just doing the best workout in the history of the world, and then that is it. Here's your homework for the week. We want to break out of chasing the hard workout. So just think of the next time you finish a session, ask yourself, can I return and do that workout again? Not the next day. I suggest you take like at least 24 hours. If you're doing like say chest, I want you to do at least one day in between, and maybe you could do it again on Wednesday. If you cannot do that same workout on Wednesday, you went a little too hard. So that is what I want to ask yourself.
Yeah, guys, and remember, as I just mentioned, that your sustainable effort is going to, over the long term, eclipse the maximum output. You know, that pitfall of more is more. Your sustainable effort, where you scale back a little bit, is going to supersede and go way further than that max effort will.
Absolutely. And guys, if this episode hit home, as always, subscribe. That'll be greatly appreciated. Like, and please share it with somebody you think that is always stuck or always going hard. Take a screenshot, tag Marc and myself, and let us know your biggest takeaways. Keep showing up to this podcast and give us a constructive criticism, anything you guys would want to see. Let us know, and we'll be gladly show up for you guys.
Meet those demands.
Meet those demands. All right, guys, this is the end of this pod. Until we meet again,
Stay strong.
stay strong.